What's up, YouTube? I'm here to talk to you about my labor and delivery with my little rainbow baby. So if you haven't already, make sure you watch my miscarriage video, as well as my natural childbirth tools video. So we're gonna hop into this video right now. So my due date was September 1st. I would have been 40 weeks. I ended up going into labor on early August 15th, so I was like 37 weeks, 3 days, 37 weeks, 4 days. I woke up, I was off Monday and Tuesday from work. The 15th was a Wednesday. I would go back for Wednesday and Thursday would have been my last day before I went on maternity leave. And so I woke up about 4:40. That whole night, of course, when you're later in pregnancy, you know that you have to pee like crazy every hour on the hour. So I had been peeing all that night. So when I woke up right before my alarm went off, I was like, I feel damp. And I know I hadn't peed on myself. And so I'm like, did my water break? You know, in my mind, like, did my water break? But it wasn't like that damp, but I felt damp. So I went up, got up like I was getting ready to go to work, and TMI, but I went to wipe, and there was a lot of clear discharge, or what I thought was discharge. And so I'm like, okay. It wasn't a lot, like I said, so in my mind, I'm like, either this is watery discharge, or this is a slow trickle of my sac. And so I'm just getting ready, and I told my husband, he was in bed, I was like, hey, something going on, I don't know what it is, but I'm getting ready to go to work anyway, because I'm like, either it's watery discharge, I'm going to ask my doula, Amanda, about it, or this is water trickling. And he was like, oh shoot. So I told my mom, I told Amanda, my doula, and she was like, it could very well be, you know, slow trickle of your waters. Just put a pad on, which I had already done, keep an eye on it. So I called the coordinator first and told her, hey, put me down for 2-hour grace period. I might be in labor, I'm trying to watch it, you know, but I'll let you know if I'm not coming in all together. And then I called my nurse manager, and she was like, girl, you need to go to the hospital, don't you come to work? And I'm like, you about right, but I'm like, I want to go to work because I need to walk. Because in my mind, I'm like, this is my first labor, and I know they can take a while. You know, even though I had been praying for a speedy delivery that gives me enough time to go to the hospital, you know, without danger. But I'm just like, you know, it's a possibility, it may take a while. So during that time where I asked for that grace period, I had already had my hospital bag packed. My husband just had to throw his stuff in there, you know, fix me something to eat, still get dressed, do my makeup, hair, and put my clothes on. Threw what was going to be her first, you know, little load of clothes in the washer, and let them dry so they could be packed, because mind you, I wasn't supposed to go into labor until later. That weekend I planned to get all her clothes washed, but she decided to come earlier than what I expected. It took me double the time to get to work because there were 3 different areas of backup on the way to work. I get to work and everybody's like, really? You at work? And I'm like, yeah. So they didn't let me do anything. I had to work at about 9 on the dot. And I remember going to the bathroom about 9:30, and TMI again, I wiped, and it was my mucus plug. So I go tell my coworker, one of the older ladies, she was like, you need to go to the doctor, because my clinic was up the road. And she was like, you need to go to the doctor right now. Like, your amniotic fluid is going to be trickling out, and it's going to be to the point where it's not enough in the sac, and then you're going to cause yourself, you know, further issues, the baby further issues. So I'm like, all right, y'all, you know, I'm getting my stuff, like, I'm about to go. I went to the bathroom again before I left. More of my mucus plug comes out. So if you don't know what your mucus plug is, I'm going to insert a definition up here of what it is. But it can be a brownish reddish tinge, and it doesn't all come out at once. Sometimes it breaks off and comes off in piece by piece. Another word for mucus plug is bloody show. So you may know what that is. You may have heard of it. So I go to my doctor. My doctor's about 15 minutes away from my doctor's like 15 minutes away, and so I didn't want to go to the emergency room. I went to the clinic. I said, is anybody here that can do me a swab to check and see if this is amniotic fluid versus discharge? So they took me to the back. She swabbed me. She was like, you about 1 centimeter, and yes, this is amniotic fluid, so you're gonna have to go in L&D. I didn't put my hospital bag in the trunk. So I'm like, I knew this was pushing it, right? She was like, you need to go to L&D. I'm gonna call them, get you over there. So you just go over there, move your car, check in. I was like, can I go home and get my bag? And she was like, where you stay? And I told her, and it's like 40 minutes away from the hospital. She was like, nah. She was like, tell your husband, go get your bag, bring it here. You're not going nowhere. You going to L&D. Mind you, I had what's called Group B strep, and so I need to be started on my antibiotics in enough time. So I go over to L&D, tell my husband. My husband, poor thing, had just got back to work. His job was about 45 minutes from the house as well. He had just got to work at 12. He pretty much, I don't even think it was 1 o'clock yet. He had to turn around, you know, leave work, go back to the house, get the bag, get my computer, because I had school assignments that were due, get everything I needed, then come to the hospital. Call my mom. She's trying to get there immediately. I'm like, you don't need to do anything because I don't even know what's going on. I'll keep you updated. They come start my IV, start my antibiotics, get me a gown, undressed, and all that stuff. My husband got there pretty quickly, hooked me up to the monitor. I can't remember if they told me I was having some small contractions. I can't remember if that was before he got there, but I know after he got there I was having small ones, but they were irregular and I couldn't even feel them. So after I got like a few courses of antibiotics, got some IV fluids in me, I was chilling. My plan was to do some homework, but my husband had forgot my USB. Well, I'm not saying he forgot, it was in a different spot. So he didn't get my USB chip, so I couldn't do my work. But later that night, I was walking around the halls. I would walk from end to end, and I would squat at each end and rock my hips and hold him and dip and all that, trying to get labor going. I remember getting back to the room and remember nipple stimulation is a good thing to start your contractions. So I would like rub my nipples, TMI, but it's a natural way. I'm feeling the contractions, but what I was doing, I was rubbing them too often, and I kept having contractions back to back, and I think the baby heart decelled a little bit. So I stopped that. She was like, you can do it, but do one boob at a time and spread it out. And I did it for a few minutes, and then I just stopped. Mind you, I was putting in my hypnobirthing tracks every time I had a chance, every time I wanted to nap, and I would drift off into a deep sleep. If you want to know about my hypnobirthing tracks, you can look at my previous video. It's a link on Amazon about those and how they work for me. But yeah, so we went through to the next day. Nothing really happened that night. From what I recall, I got back forth, went to the bathroom. Nothing really happened, so it was pretty chill. I told my mom, you know, glad I didn't let you come because nothing's happening. So the next day, my midwife came. So they were saying because it had been 24 hours since my water originally started trickling, they needed to get things going because the risk for infection was higher because the bag had been broken, which was cool, but I told them I do not want Pitocin. I was terrified of Pitocin because I know I wanted to have a natural childbirth and I didn't want it to be more excruciating and painful, you know, than it could be. So one of the other midwives came in and she ended up suggesting Cytotec, which is a pill. Cytotec is usually inserted into the vagina and it dissolves and it helps you dilate and things of that nature. But the way she suggested, my nurse had never heard of, but it was a different way. You put it, it's called buccal, B-U-C-C-A-L, and you put the Cytotec in your jaw. Let it sit there for 20 minutes before you wash it down with anything, and your membranes, you know, absorb that medicine. And so they were going to do one dose at 9. The next, I got my dose at 9, and nothing really started happening till about 11 something. I could feel things start to pick up a little bit. They felt like stronger period cramps. Something I could totally get through. I would still talk to my husband, talk to whoever's in the room, but I could feel them and I could see on the monitor that they were becoming more regular. Only thing I hate about those stupid monitors on your stomach is that it's like if you get up and move and then come back and get into bed, I could still tell that those contractions were the same intensity, but it wasn't picking it up. But by the time I sat back down for some reason, so the nurse would come in and I'd be like, something's happening. She was like, well, I can't see it outside. And I was like, I don't care what you see outside. This intensity is the same. When I got to bed the first time, went to the bathroom and came back, it's your monitor. But something's happening, so I need you to, let the doctor know. The midwife came back. I was telling her, I don't think I need that second dose of the Sinotech because I'm scared, because by this time it had picked up even more, to the point where if I had one, I was just like, things like that. Trying to breathe, they weren't excruciatingly painful, but I was trying to build up my efforts of learning how to focus when they come, so when they did pick up, I wouldn't be caught by surprise. But they were getting more intense, and I told her, I said, if you give me that second dose, it may be too intense. And so she was like, you're right, I see based off of what the Toco, which is the monitor, is showing, things are picking up, they're becoming more regular. And so they left me alone to do my thing. So in my previous video, guys, I told you guys I had a doula. Crazy thing is, when I texted my doula that previous day when my water started trickling, she was like, it's crazy, but my other client is supposed to be induced tonight because she was over, she's past due. Good thing is she's in the same hospital as you. So once we got to the hospital, y'all, that night, her other client, who was getting induced, I was in room 4, she was in room 5, or the other way around. But either way it goes, it's crazy how it worked out. We were in the same hospital, same area, right next door to each other. So my doula was going back and forth between us. So things were picking up for me. My doula came in and she was talking to me. And I remember telling my husband, like, let's get strapped up, let's go outside and walk and move, trying to pick things up. But by the time I got the monitor to where it was portable, and I remember going to grab the door, and I had a contraction, and I was like, I'm not going to make it in this hallway. And so I ended up getting a medicine ball and bouncing on it, and so I'm just bouncing, and Amanda's talking to me, that's my doula, and every time a contraction came out, I have to just, like I'm rolling my hips on the ball, I'm just, not using the word pain, just saying intense, because they were intense. They were intense. And so I stayed on the ball for probably an hour, and then I ended up saying I want to get in the shower. Then I got in the shower. They put a bench in the shower because it was a tub combo. So they put the bench down, I sat down, and I was letting the water hit my stomach to distract me. And the water felt good. It felt really good, but I could still feel those contractions. And I did not have back pain. I did not have back labor. It was all in my hips, all in my uterus. It felt like really strong period cramps. And they were very intense. I got to the point where, like, my husband, I don't think he knew what to do. My mom was coming. I had pushed her off so much that she had almost missed the childbirth. But he would come in and sit and check with me. Amanda would come in and be like, you're doing so good, you're doing great, that's right, just breathe through them. And I'm just going to give y'all an example of what this breathing sounds like. Don't judge me, because if you have done this, you know. But you have to do a low registered breathing. And the way you breathe affects how your body relaxes. If you breathe wrong, your body tenses up and it makes it harder for you to progress through labor. So I'm on the bench and I'm sitting and I'm just like, and like the more intense they get, the more you kind of just zone out and you get loud, like you sound primal, like you sound like an animal. But childbirth is an animalistic thing, like, so, you know, you kind of you got to tune people out, and my doula's just like, that's right, you're doing good, Brittney, just breathe through it. I end up changing from sitting on the bench to putting the birthing ball in the tub, and being on my hands and knees and like leaning over the ball and letting the water hit my back. By that time in the labor process, I had zoned out completely, because when I said things were intense, they were intense. I think Dan thought like I was probably dying, because of how hard I was moaning. But I was moaning so hard because that's what I needed to do, but it also helped me stay focused. And I could tell, like, if I let my voice get too high pitched, I would tense up, and it would make things painful. And so I kept thinking, you know, pain is not an option. Don't be fearful. You can do this. So when things first started picking up, that was about 3 something. By this time, when I'm on my knees and stuff, it's 5 something. The other client of my doula was starting to pick up as well. So my doula called backup. I can't remember her name, but her backup person came in there and she was checking on me. But mind you, I didn't even see what she looked like until after I had my baby, because my head was tucked into the towel and I was just moaning and rocking because they were coming, like those contractions were hitting. And I was just like, either this baby is coming and I done skipped some steps, or, you know, like, how much more intense is this gonna get? Like, I started to get nervous. I'm not gonna lie, like, fear was trying to sneak in and I kept having to push it out because I knew it was something that I really, really, really wanted to do. I could really feel like fear was trying to creep in, and I had to keep pushing it out because I was like, I'm so close. I gotta do this. It really feels like an intense poop. Like, when that baby is pushing down in that birth canal, it's pushing on your anus, and I kept remembering towards the end, I was like, and my mom, I got poop. I gotta poop, I gotta poop. I gotta poop, I gotta poop. And I was like, I gotta poop. And so it got to the point where it was so intense. And mind you, y'all, before things really, really picked up, I had pooped like 3 or 4 times. And just from my knowledge and from my research and stuff, I knew that when you poop like that, your body's prepping for labor. It cleanses you out. Like, you get a cleanse before you actually have the baby. And so I kind of had told myself at a certain point, like, you don't need to eat nothing else but clear liquids, because you poop so many times, like, you about to start going into active labor. I remember telling the doula, the backup doula, I was like, I gotta poop. I was like, I gotta poop, I gotta poop, I gotta poop, I gotta get on the toilet. And she was like, you wanna get on the toilet? I was like, yes, I wanna get on the toilet. So I thought I had to poop. And so I remember being on the toilet, and I just remember like having to breathe because it was so intense. And I told her, I remember talking, and it sounded like I had to throw up, but it was my body bearing down to push the baby out. And I was just talking, I was like, and I couldn't talk because my body was like you about to push this baby out. And I was like, go get the nurse midwife so she can check me because something's happening. I don't know what it is. I think I know, but I'm not sure. Go get her. So she came. I'm sitting on the toilet trying to talk to her. I kept doing that little thing because my body was pushing, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna check you. Put on the gloves. She put her hand down there for like a split second. She said, oh yeah, that baby's coming. She was like, I feel it. She's like, so do you want to push on the toilet or you want to go to the bed? And I knew how I wanted to push, so I was like, I want to go to the bed. I got to that bed so quick. Like, I was like, I got to get to the bed. And so I pushed. I'm going to show y'all. The head of the bed was elevated. It wasn't all the way up like this. It was kind of slanted. And I pushed on all 4s with my arms holding on to the bed. My husband and somebody else was on one side. My mom and the doula were on the other side of me. And the pushing part is where I really let fear start to sneak in. Because, well, first off, before I moved to the bed, luckily my mom walked in the door right when I was getting out the shower and onto the toilet. If she would have been like 20 minutes later, she would have missed the birth of her grandchild because I had pushed her off for so long. But yeah, I was on the bed, got to the point where I had to push, and I got fearful because I was like, this baby gotta come through my vagina. Like, how are we gonna do that? You know? So I started to get scared, and my body was pushing, it was a relief for my body to push, but I was tensing up because I was becoming fearful and because I didn't want to push the baby out. But you know, at this point, there's no turning back. I remember like holding on, and I was just like, oh God, oh Jesus, Jesus help me, Jesus. Like I was legit calling on Jesus to the point my dude was like, that's right, call on him. Your strength comes from him. You can do it. You can do it. It's almost over. It's almost over. And so I'm just like, Jesus help me. And I was just like leaning down. I don't think I cried, but I was just nervous, and I was just like, Jesus help me. So I remember thinking there's a track on my hypnobirthing that I listened to twice towards the end of pregnancy. And it was about breathing when you push. And there's a certain way you should breathe, like do one long push and breath, and in between you pushing, you do not let your body suck that baby back in. You push and you hold, and when you hold, what it's doing is stretching your vagina and keeping it stretched, so it's easier with the next push. And I had to think to myself, I remember thinking, you need to do this birth breathing so we can get this baby out, because we ain't got time, okay? So I pushed, I concentrated, and I pushed, and I could feel her coming out. I thought I tore, but I didn't really, not like I thought I did. I thought I tore, I didn't, but I felt her come out. That I really had to hold on to that bed and push back and push her out. I don't think I pushed for more than 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, I don't think. It wasn't long at all, but I pushed, and she was out. I'm gonna try to insert some pictures. I gotta do some editing because they're kind of graphic. But she was very small when she came out. I remember when I was pushing and I was progressing and doing better with the pushing, they were like, you want to put your hand down there, or you want to put the mirror down so you can see your baby? And my husband kept peeking back there, which is good. I really thought he was gonna pass out, but he was so excited. And I was just like, bro, no. They was like, you sure? I was like, no, I'm concentrating on pushing right now. I will see her when she comes out. My baby was only 4 pounds, 13 ounces. And I know some people may say, oh, she was small. Yeah, you could have pushed her out. Baby, pushing anything out your vagina, whether it's 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 8 pounds, is frightening. You know, so I'm glad I pushed my 4 pound, 13 ounce baby out. It was not premature. I was diagnosed as a gestational diabetic at one point, and they ended up telling me postpartum that they think I may have been a false positive. So I had restricted my diet a lot. I was checking my blood sugar, and I was eating, but I was so hungry all the time, but I would be scared to eat because I didn't want my blood sugars level high, because I had to report those levels, and those levels were bad too often, then I would have to have interventions during my pregnancy or limitations during my labor, and I didn't want that. So they were thinking she was really that small because of the gestational diabetes and how I was restricting myself. But she cried. They had to rub her a little bit, but she cried, and she was so tiny, like the size of a football, really. And I was just so happy that I pushed her out. I ended up having a small labia tear, which is like inside the lip of your vagina. Nothing they had to stitch. It healed on its own. I didn't have any hemorrhaging, thank God. I didn't have any issues. Only thing that was major was that they had to keep checking her blood sugar. Her blood sugar, baby's blood sugar and their temperature ties into each other. So if her blood sugar is low, her temperature will be low, which was not good because she was so tiny. She needed to be warm and regulated, or they would have to take her away from me. Thank God, we prayed and we prayed. Her temperature became regulated. Her blood sugars were good. They made her so good to, after the first few checks, they didn't even check her again because she was eating. Overall, y'all, out of my birth plan, I think I had 95% of what I wanted. It wasn't bad. I'm just grateful for it. I know my prayers and everything really contributed to how successful I was. My mindset, my doula, my team, my family, they were awesome. My providers, the hospital I was at is very natural friendly. That's another reason I switched. They were just great. And there is a group on Facebook called Alabama Natural Childbirth Group, or Natural Childbirth Group of Alabama. I'm going to put that link and try to show you what it looks like as well. But it's just full of mothers who want natural births that help you find the resources you need, give you encouragement, you share your birth stories and things like that. But it was just a combination of things that helped me do it, and it's so doable, and I would do it again, whether, you know, my next baby is 8 pounds or 7 pounds, it don't matter. I just want, if you want to have a natural childbirth, do it. You know, I suggest you educate yourself. It's not something you can go in and do purposefully without being educated. You know, don't go in there blind, because you're going to come in, you're going to have a rude awakening. But like I said, it takes training your body, it takes training your mind to be successful. And so it won't be traumatic. Now, you can have somebody that go have a natural childbirth accidentally and it be traumatic, and then it affects your recovery, it affects the process, it affects how you bond with your child afterwards. I didn't want that. I knew what I wanted before labor, what I wanted during labor, and what I wanted after labor. I prayed about it, I prepped myself for it, I educated myself on everything I could, and I think it's still important that you educate yourself on what could happen, because birth plans don't always go according to plan. Like the one part of my birth plan was that I wasn't expected to be diagnosed with group B strep and have to be on penicillin. I originally wanted to labor at home as long as possible, and then head to the doctor and, you know, be there for a little bit before I actually had to push my baby out. But because of the group B strep, I had to be sure to be at labor and delivery so I can get my antibiotics first, so I wouldn't cause any harm to the baby. But still educate yourself on C-sections and things of that nature, because every woman isn't able to push their baby out naturally, even if they plan on it, and you can do everything that you can do to help aid a natural delivery and still end up having a C-section. But God was so graceful and gracious and merciful to me, to where I had what I prayed for. Like I said before, epidural scares the mess out of me, so I'm not getting that. I would do natural every time if I'm able. I was able to walk, like when I transitioned from labor and delivery to postpartum. I got up with my child, walked to the wheelchair, they wheeled me over there, wheeled our stuff. I got in bed, my husband held the baby. I went in there, I used the bathroom. Now the scariest part for me was having to go to the bathroom, because I knew I had that tear and it burned a little bit. But you use the period bottle and things like that. Had a hearing test in the hospital. They had to do the PKU, which is the newborn screening test for any genetic disorders and things like that. That was fine. The only major thing is that my child was tiny. She was 4 pounds 13 ounces. She was so small, and she was just delicate. But she's breastfed, and she ain't missing no meal. I want you guys to know that natural childbirth is possible, regardless of what society says. America is so medicinal, and Western medicine has taken over. Things are pushed on you when you go to the hospital. That's why these women have traumatic stories, and interventions are having to be done. Because, I mean, you push one thing on a mother, and then, like, at least 2 more interventions are going to have to come into play, because it's like a domino effect, and I didn't want any of that. And you don't have to have that either. I just suggest you educate yourself. Get things that you can afford that can be resources. Ask people, join Facebook groups that uplift you and encourage you. Watch encouraging YouTube videos. Just educate yourself all the way around on the positive and negative, so you won't have any surprises or blind spots. But if you have any questions, feel free to write me in the comments, or email me at brittneyshaquor@outlook.com. This video is informative and it helps somebody. I know I rambled, so yeah, if I rambled, you don't have to tell me that in the comments. Thanks. Yeah, I just look forward to sharing more information with anybody that has questions about natural childbirth. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.